Welcome to the interviewing part of the Free the Data Academy. Here, we're going to dive into everything I've learned as an employee looking to get a job, as well as a hiring manager, which was my role for many years in the data field. So I'm going to give you kind of everything I know and everything I've learned from that experience to help you just really kind of knock it out of the park when it comes time to actually interview for that job. Let's go. The first thing we're going to talk about is the mindset of the hiring manager. And there are two main things to consider when a hiring manager is actually interviewing someone. One is the technical competency. Does the person have the technical chops necessary for whatever role they're going for? Then, are they a good behavioral fit? And I'll talk a little bit about what that means in a second. But first, let's talk about technical competency. In the realm of technical competency, there are three kind of things that I would consider as a hiring manager. First is domain expertise. Let's say we are an online streaming service like a Netflix or a Spotify. If you have any expertise or knowledge in that area, even just as a customer, it can be very helpful. So, how much do you know about what we do? That can play a big part in whether or not you get the job, because whether or not you have all the technical chops out there, it doesn't really matter if you can teach, you can learn those, and then I can actually help you understand what to do. But none of that comes into play unless you have even a remote understanding of what we do as a business. So the next thing to talk about or to think about is whether or not you have the right level of skill. If you went through this course and you are brand new to the data industry, you're going to be looking for the entry level or associate level positions. We'll actually take a look at one here in a second. But if you're coming in for, say, a senior data scientist role, it's not going to be appropriate. So whether or not your skills match up with the job that the person's interviewing for really are important, because if they don't, a lot of times it's just kind of a showstopper and you can kind of end the interview right there. And the last thing in terms of technical competency that I would look for in interviewing somebody is whether or not they have good critical thinking abilities. The idea here is no matter how much knowledge or experience you have prior to your role, there are going to be situations where you have to figure it out. You have to come up with a solution to something that you've never seen before. And that is essentially the innovative nature of a person, why people are so valuable. So in an interview, I am going to challenge you to try to think critically and come up with a solution to a problem you've maybe never understood before. In terms of behavioral fit, we'll talk about this more later, but the general idea is, how do you handle conflicts? Are you going to be somebody that is cooperative and works with the team? What is your communication style like? Are you direct? Are you more beat around the bush? Are you shy? Are you, outgoing? What is your communication style in email, in person, over the phone, etc.? And then what is your level of manageability? So if you're new to the field, I encourage everyone for the first maybe 5 years to really absorb and learn everything you can. Even if someone rubs you the wrong way or you don't agree with everything they do or who they are, whatever, everyone has something that you can learn from. So whether or not you're manageable is a very important part. Sometimes you need people at the senior level, especially, that really think broadly and greatly about the future design of an architecture or something. And other times you need people that need some direction, but once you set them off down a path, they just get it done. And so you kind of have this different roles that people can play. And ultimately, whether or not someone is manageable, it can be a key factor, because if not, then I personally, as a hiring manager, I don't want to have to deal with someone that isn't going to be cooperative and actually work with us as a group. So trying to approach an interview from the hiring manager's standpoint is a really good way to, just as we've talked about with communication, understand your audience. When you're presenting something, these are the kind of things that they're thinking about. Do they have the chops necessary? Are they going to work well on my team? Are they going to fit well within our company? Do they know much about what we do or our industry? If it's a big, popular company like a Netflix or Spotify, chances are yes. But if it's something more obscure, more niche, that could really play a big part in whether or not you get that job.